Spider-Man 2 has some incredible boss fights. Just like the first game, it uses Spider-Man's rogues gallery and gives them definitive showdowns with the webheads. And this time, it doesn't randomly throw two villains together to save time, creating an uneven and unsatisfying showdown with the Sinister Six. Although Spider-Man 2 doesn't spread out its bosses evenly, as they are backloaded into the final act of the game, although the first game did that too. But of those spectacular fights, I wanted to take a look at the one that takes place at what might be the emotional high point of the game, the Mary Jane symbiote boss fight, also known as Scream. There are so many reasons why I feel that this boss fight is one of the game's highest peaks, and I'd like to lay them out for you. Firstly is the fight's location. Other Spider-Man boss fights are big spectacle set pieces like Kraven and his jungle arena, but the Scream fight takes place in suburbia. It's one of the most unremarkable areas in the game, and although it's undoubtedly homely, it's nowhere near as striking as, say, the final boss arena. I love this arena for two reasons. One, it doesn't distract from the fight as this grand showdown, much like how other Spider-Man boss fights had this overpowering arena to match the grandeur of the antagonists. Secondly, this fight takes place where Peter Parker grew up, his friendly neighborhood. This is because this is the most personal battle Spider-Man has had to confront in the game. This is the love of his life becoming twisted and warped by his best friend, and all of his insecurities and weaknesses are being screamed back in his face by the woman he cares about more than anything. This is Peter Parker's battle to overcome, not Spider-Man's. The grand-reaching skyscrapers of New York are associated with Spider-Man and his death-defying heroics, but the streets of Queens are the childhood home of Peter Parker. This helps paint the fight as Peter's battle. The main reason I love this fight, though, is because it's some of the most significant character development for both of its participants to go through, and none of it is presented through an intense cutscene. Instead, the desperation of both combatants comes during intense sessions of dodging and attacking. This makes it seem like both characters are truly pouring their hearts out, with no time to think of the correct way to phrase their thoughts, and are instead belting out pure emotion. Of course, that wouldn't be nearly as effective as it is without Yuri Lowenthal and Laura Bailey absolutely demolishing this scene, laying everything bare and screaming out what they genuinely think and need to say to each other. And with no Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War in the way, either one of them is a shoo-in for best performance of the year. For Mary Jane, this battle is about letting out all the frustration she feels towards her life, about her career that leaves her wholly unfulfilled and sickened to be a part of, about her dreams and ambitions which are floundering, and about being Spider-Man's girlfriend, and how she always feels like she's being put off. It's a complete rip-back-the-curtain moment where she can scream at the world and Peter about whatever she wants, where the venom in her soul has infected her, and she doesn't have to care about what she says. But don't misinterpret this as what she truly believes. This is pure rage and frustration at the world. Everyone has thoughts like these, things that they'd love nothing more than to yell out and let the whole world know. But there's a reason we don't do that, and it's not because of the consequences that vocalizing those dark thoughts would bring with removing that filter. It's because that's not what we truly believe. That's just anger twisting what we want into a hostile and toxic concept, warping who we are and making us into a despicable person who doesn't just scream their vileness out at other people. When they scream, those words are laced with venom. That's what this fight is like for Mary Jane, but for Peter it's so much worse, and not because he's on the receiving end of that vitriol, but because in this moment, he's having a mirror lifted up to him, and is being shown the horrible person he was just a short while ago. It's hard to sympathize with someone without experiencing what they are going through, and Peter sympathizes with MJ on two levels. Firstly, the violent possession that she's going through. That's what's at the forefront of the fight, and it's the immediate problem that Peter is trying to solve. But he's also on the receiving end of all the horrible things MJ is saying to him, and in the back of his mind, he must also be thinking about the disgusting things he said to her during his infection. He hasn't and will never forgive himself for the things he said to her and the pain he caused her and Harry, and after Aunt May, I'm not sure how much more this Peter Parker can take before he snaps without the help of a symbiote. This is an ugly moment for Peter. He's trying to help MJ fight off the symbiote and remind her what a kind person she is. But he can't help but feel this is what he put his friends through the last few days. Horrible and unkind treatment for people who didn't deserve it. But in the state of mind he was in, it's impossible to point your anger at yourself, and so it goes to the only place it can be, the people around you. The Scream fight is one of PlayStation's best boss fights in a while, and not because it has this epic feeling and gargantuan stakes, but because this is a fight about two people who love each other being broken down by each other's words. I sincerely hope that what was said in this glorious battle will carry their weight to the future of this relationship, because the words said in this battle can't be taken back, and they can never be forgotten.